Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. The Bombay High Court recently criticised a Sessions Court for making unwarranted stereotypical observations against a transgender person while rejecting a bail plea filed by a trans woman. Now, the Sessions Court at Pandharpur had commented that it was well known that transgender persons harass people and trans persons were getting bolder, rowdier and nastier. Now, these unfortunate comments were condemned by Justice Madhav Jamdar of the Bombay High Court, who said that such remarks were completely uncalled for and said that they should not even have been recorded. Now, the judge went on to state that transgenders are citizens of this country and they are protected under right to life and liberty. But what was this case all about? Well, the bail applicant Jyoti Manjapa Prasad V was accused of harassing and abusing a devotee visiting the Vitthal Rukmini Mandir in Pandharpur, and Prasad V was also accused of demanding money, assaulting and forcibly disrobing, and she was booked under several various provisions of the IPC and Maharashtra Police Act on December 3rd, 2023. Now, her bail plea was rejected by a Pandharpur Sessions Court, but it was, however, approved by the Bombay High Court. Now, this is an interesting case that points to ways in which members of the LGBTQ community still face discrimination, assault on their dignity, and also humiliation in court language. Now, this is a Sessions Court that we are talking about. Remember, CJI DY Chandrachud has repeatedly talked about equal treatment to all. And in fact, it was only last year we were celebrating that there are now handbooks for legal professionals on gender sensitivity, on using non-discriminatory language and behaviour. But how far are we on the road to achieving that? That is the question we are asking tonight. Joining me is Rajat Singh, who is a fashion model from the LGBTQ community, and we also have another guest, but let me just go across to Rajat first. Rajat, you work in the modeling field, and I just told you about this case where there was clear bias, and of course the language that the court used was extremely problematic, but of course the Bombay High Court stepped in, reprimanded the Sessions Court, and in fact has also ensured that these comments did not get recorded. But tell us, what is the kind of discrimination and bias that these stereotypical projection of the transgender community have on, what kind of impact does it have on the community members?
Okay, to begin with, as you said, that things are being done, the plans are being made, the laws are being made. Apart from that, the thing is that I believe that you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. So it's only the talk which is happening, but people aren't actually walking. Or especially the premises are speaking. So I think that's a vivid example of that. Apart from that, if I talk about what they have said, that they're getting bolder or nastier, I'm really glad firstly they're getting bolder, because I think future belongs to the bold. In 2024, you can't afford to be a little blossoming flower. If I wish, I could also be a little daffodil, but you have to be a cactus in this environment. There are many cases coming up. There are so many murders happening because of the homophobia, transphobia, apart from the HIV, STD, and there's so much of hatred around. There almost, I think from 2008 to 2021, there are almost 100 plus cases which has been reported for murder, which are only recorded. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the tip of the iceberg, because they come from the community, I say so. But this problem is bigger than it seems. And with this, they are getting nastier. And apart from that, all they have said, I think what you tell me that, if you talk about that, if they say that this is something, disheartening to read, it's horrible to actually read such things each day coming about the transgender people, that it's just usually people are talking about it. Nobody's actually addressing the real problems. Right. Nobody's talking about that. The movies are being made, the laws are being made passed, but I think it's all commercial process. The committee is thriving for the changes. And again, there was something said that, the people are scared of them. Really scared is the word. I think it's even horrible to even say so.
Right. Rajat, also tell us, we are specifically talking about the language that a Sessions Court used. Now, and if you look at the language like you're pointing out, they say that this hatred of transgender community and the fear of them and also the anger against them is not without a reason. Now, that's very unfortunate and it's a horrible thing to say. But a Sessions Court, a local court saying something like that, tell us, how does that really impact, at least the motivation of the LGBTQ community, because courts are where we go to get justice.
True, right. But apart from that, I also want to say that, they're talking about the fact that, they've made the observations about the community, that they're getting bolder, rowdier for that matter. But if they actually want to observe something, they should actually observe the hardships, the struggles, the discrimination against them, education against them, and the pay parity against them, or there's so many other ways to look upon the thing, rather than calling that people are scared of them and making these leaky comments, because it's just making it even more worse in the situation, honestly. For people, like if people in the premises sitting in courts would comment in a way, then it's totally fair. And that's again one of the reasons that, people say that the change has been come, or the people are changing. Firstly, people aren't changing. It's just people like you, Vasudha, people like me, and people of the community who are making this or bringing these changes. So people, it's on our back.
Right.
So we are actually the driving forces. I'm glad that people are doing so. But apart from that, this is a little pullback.
Right.
I also get a little taken aback when people comment such so. But apart from that, it's very important that, as you said, the court also does the fact that, the people are a little taken by the fact that people are a little loud. Apart from all those concerning factors, if the premises are only focusing on their very loud mouth, how do they dress up, how do they talk, and this is the, I'm sorry, this is a very silly position to be, to actually understand. I can't even process that what situation or what kind of environment would that be, that premises are talking about that these problems. They're finding these problems more problematic than, hundreds of problems out there this community is suffering from each day.
Right. Rajat, also, last year was a landmark year for the community, but of course, it was also a setback because we saw the hearing of the same-sex marriage. And one thing that the CJI made it very clear that there should be no discrimination. And he has time and again talked about this. We also have a handbook on this. And, we also have a very active community, and there are these pride marches that are held in all cities. Yet there is sometimes a gap between, what is said and what is done. And in fact, there seems to be a gap between what the local courts, say and what the higher courts want them to say. How do you see this particular division? Because there seems to be one section of the society which knows what is the right thing to say and what is the right thing to do, but there is another which doesn't seem to be sensitized at all.
Truly. As you said, there is a gap. I think, and you can't fill the gap because on the grounds of discrimination, also ignorance. You can't just do that. You can't afford to do that. This community has been deprived of opportunities for a very long time. And now people also have this notion that, it's a little Western culture being invasion and this and that, but, it's not that. First, I also believe that, you don't have, I don't have to come from the trans community in order to support the trans. I think it's a very humane thing to do, Vasudha.
Right.
For example, I don't have to be a dog to actually standing up for the animal rights, right? So just like that, you don't have to be a trans person. You don't have to come in the domain of the community in order to participate, or it's just a very humane thing to do for the humans, I think. कहते हैं ना कि अपने हक और नाहक के लिए आवाज बुलंद करना is the motto of a human being. So I think that's how you should see it.
Right.
And this ignorance, ये बैठ के जैसे example the court also has said that people are a little taken back how loudmouth they are. People are scared of them, and that is true. I will not deny the fact, but that is only because of the fact that we have actually shut the doors on them.
Right, that's very well said. Rajat, we also have Vaijayanti Vasanta Mowgli, transgender activist, member of the Telangana Welfare Board for Transgender Persons, joining us. Bombay High Court, Vasanta has said today, it has in fact condemned a session court order that said that safety of public is at high risk at every public place because of transgenders, and that the fear or hatred of transgenders is not without a reason. Of course, Bombay High Court has condemned this and said that none of this goes on record. But tell us, what kind of impact does this kind of normalizing of stereotypes have on the lives and livelihoods of the members of the transgender community and the way they look at the world?
This is an oversimplification, and such oversimplifications are enormously unfair. There always are aberrations in every community. There are fathers who sexually assault their daughters. There are mothers who sell their daughters to brothel. Do we then say mothers are traffickers? Do we then say fathers are rapists by default? We don't. Every community has its own share of crime, and transgender persons are not washed in milk. They are not from another planet. We are not from another planet. We are very much from this patriarchal, misogynist society.
Right.
Us to be free of crime and to be washed in milk is an oversimplification. We don't live on an
right.
Born to men and women of this very society.
Right. Vajanti, also tell us, because of the language that the court has used, a lower court, tell us, is there a problem?
Centuries of marginalization.
Yes, is there a problem with the language that courts use? And when it comes to courts and police, what are the problems that members of the community continue to face? And, what are the biases that show in investigation? Because clearly, if you look at this particular case, the Sessions Court did deny this, person the bail. But of course, when it went to the Bombay High Court, she has been granted bail and her application has been approved.
Yes. So I'll just give you a few examples. In my state of Telangana, there was a draconian Telangana Eunuchs Act, which was exclusive with quote-unquote eunuchs. This is a very dehumanizing, which made a presupposition transgender persons called quote-unquote eunuchs in that pre-constitutional statute are by default pedophiles, gave sweeping powers to the police to arrest without a warrant if found in the company of a child. What if the person is a Bharatanatyam classical dance teacher? Their children join classical dance at a very, very young age of 4, 5, 6. It gave sweeping powers to the police and made baseless presuppositions that transgender persons are pedophiles. There are very many such examples of pre-constitutional statutes as vestiges, remnants of the Criminal Tribes Act that is still denotified. And this, despite the fact that I managed to get this declared ultra virus of the Constitution in the Telangana High Court, this psyche, this mansikta, Hindi mein kehte hain mansikta, this kind of psyche persists and pervades in the police system and in the criminal justice system. And these kind of irresponsible observations, I'm not attacking any judge or any court, but I'm definitely critiquing bad law. I'm definitely critiquing these oral observations, not at all in accordance with the 377 judgment or the constitutional values of our constitution.
That's a very important point. Thank you, Vajanti, for this very important point. Of course, long road ahead for equality in transgender rights, and of course a good move by the Bombay High Court in condemning stereotypical and regressive order by a Sessions Court. Thank you, Rajat, and thank you, Vajanti, for joining us on this broadcast.